Feedback, shooting in netball by Sophia Tremlett. The strengths. As you can see from the image, she is using the correct technique. When shooting, your dominant hand should be underneath the ball and the other just supporting it. You can see she does this. Having the hands in the correct position means that she can have maximum control of the ball. This means she can focus more on where she is shooting and means she is more likely to hit the target. The correct technique also involves your feet being shoulder width apart. This is to provide the best balance possible. You can see from the image to the right that she uses this technique because her feet are shoulder width apart and it provides her with maximum balance. This means she can focus more on the shot, giving her a higher chance of scoring. Also involved in shooting is fully extending your arms at the release of the shot. Also from looking at the bottom image, she executes this well. The angle she also releases is higher, and this means the higher chance of it going in. Because she fully extended her arms at the release of the shot, it means she can keep the force behind the ball. If you look at the image, her arms have also released the ball upwards, which means where she has extended her arms is where the ball is going, towards the net. Whereas if she had her arms facing downwards, the ball would never reach it. It's very important in netball to have a follow through. She is looking at the basket. This means that she can see exactly where the ball is going and can make sure her shot is accurate as possible. She also faces the net. If she wasn't, she wouldn't exactly be able to see where the ball is going. And also if her body was twisted around, it could be awkward to shoot. So when facing the basket, it keeps it easy and simple to shoot. She is on the balls of her feet when releasing the ball. This means you can push down on the ground, meaning she can generate more power behind the ball. It also means she may be more balanced on the release. Her body is also upright. If she was slouching, the defender would be able to get the ball more easy. If she stretches fully, it means she will be closer to the net, making it easier to shoot, and it means that it will be harder for the defender to get the ball. Areas for improvement. As you can see from looking at the professional Louisa Brownfield and comparing her to this professional, her arms aren't above her head like they should be. This may affect her technique massively. When shooting, most of the power comes from the legs and it is transferred through the body. And without this, the majority of the power is lost. So it's essential during shooting. Without this power, the ball may not go high enough to reach the net ball post, meaning the shot is missed. From looking at the image on the right, you can see she doesn't bend her legs into the shot. The squat is the first part of your shot and it builds up potential energy for release. Without this, there won't be as much power behind the ball. This means there isn't as much power being generated overall, and it means the opposition has a higher chance of defending and getting the ball before it goes in. Flicking the ball on release will give a higher chance of the ball going in. To complete this, a spin on the ball should be done, and this is completed by flicking your wrists when releasing. This makes any bounce on the ring itself a little more forgiving, meaning it will either go in or come back towards you for you to try again, which is essential if you miss. Future recommendations. For you to be good at shooting, practicing is essential. And the more practice you get, the better. It also means you can get comfortable with your technique. There are many drills that you can do to practice and improve your technique, as completing the correct technique is essential. Because there are only 2 players within the team who can score, a good success rate is really important. To get more practice, you could arrive to training earlier and spare 30 minutes per day to train. Your technique must become a second nature to you during play, and this is essential by getting as much practice in as possible. The more shooting practice you do, the easier it can become to shoot during pressure situations to try. You can also do things like 30 minutes of training before netball, 30 minutes every other weekday at home, or 20 to 30 minutes on game day to help you focus on what you need to do and help you feel settled in your shot. You must include stationary and movement shooting practice to put yourself in many different game situations. The correct technique is essential. You need to focus on the correct technique, and without this, you're much more likely to miss shots due to not enough power being behind the ball, or your shot not being accurate enough, or even just missing the net. You have 3 seconds to shoot or pass, so you can take your time. This means you can complete the correct technique, meaning you do bend your legs, you do flick your wrist to create the spin, and you can fully extend your body to create full power. It only takes practice to understand the full technique, so going back to the first point, that is essential. Balance is also essential, so you need to establish your stance and have a proper grip of the ball before taking the shot. Stand roughly shoulder width apart and cradle the ball with your fingertips. You also need to make sure you bend your knees. The power of the shot comes from your legs, while the direction of your shot is controlled by your arms and fingers. You need to make sure also that you focus on the ring, in particular the back of the ring, and as you release, spin the ball backwards with your fingertips, and this by flicking your wrists. This will make sure the ball bounces back towards you should your shot hit the back of the ring. There are many drills that can help you make sure you have the correct technique. One of these is called a solo shot. This is shooting while focusing on your posture. This drill can be done alone with one ball and a netball post. When lining up to take a shot, the player faces the post with their feet hip distance apart and knees relaxed. Your shoulders and elbows should be face forwards, and she should hold the ball in her shooting hand with her fingers soft. The second hand is used for balance, but without applying any pressure on the ball. Additional pressure will change the ball's trajectory. With the ball held high, her arms should be stretching straight upwards, her elbows by her forehead and must be touching her ears. Her elbows should bend like a lever and stay by the forehead, so that only the top part of her arms move. The ball then drops back as her knees bend and the ball is pushed off her hands, making sure the ball spins upwards on a high trajectory as the arms and knees straighten. The hand flicks forward, ending up with a high arm and a hands face down. You should do this and practice from different angles. Another drill is making 10 shots with as little tries as possible. 2 players can work with 1 ball, 1 goalpost and 10 cones. Player 1 is the shooter and player 2 is the feeder. This drill can be timed to see how fast a player can make 10 shots in a row. The aim is to complete the course taking as few shots as possible. Player 1 must take a shot from each cone, but she can only move on the next cone if she makes a successful shot. The role of player 2 is to correct the ball after each shot and feed the shooter. A third drill is shooting past a defender. 2 players must work with 1 ball and a hoop. Player 1 is the shooter and players 2 will defend. The shooter's aim is to overcome the arms of the defender to successfully shoot under constant pressure. This drill is ideal for spotting any wrong technique exhibited by the shooter, who is required to flick the ball up and over the defender. The fourth technique is shooting cardio training. 2 players work with 1 ball. Player 1 is the shooter and player 2 helps to retrieve the ball. The drill is by far the toughest as it requires the shooter to build up stamina while maintaining accurate shooting. To start, player 2 will position the ball anywhere in the semicircle. The task of player 1 as a shooter is to run to touch the sideline of the court and sprint back to the ball. The shooter then picks up the ball and takes a shot before running back to the sideline whilst the retriever repositions the ball anywhere in the semicircle. The aim of player 1 is to get 10 shots in the shortest time possible, as prolonged periods of running will only wear down the shooter and cause her actually to fall. Another recommendation is increasing power. There are a few different ways you can go about increasing the amount of power you're able to generate. First, increase the force output. Second, increase the distance over which you are applying the force while keeping force and time constant. The third, decrease the time over which the movement is performed. If you can do one of these more effectively than before, then you will see increase in your vertical jump. This will help in netball and get the shots more accurate when there is more power behind. So in order to increase this, there are a few training factors that you can do. Increase your quad strength. The best way to work on your quad strength is to do squat exercises, since this movement is similar to jumping and can help with the follow through in netball. Before doing any other training, you need to get on the squat machine. When performing the squat action, you'll want to go down as low as possible, and this is to increase the glute activation, which is a large muscle involved in propulsion. To increase your vertical jump further, perform single leg squats, since performing a vertical jump usually requires jumping off one leg. Single leg squats are even more movement specific, and this will help build the required strength. You should be able to do about 1.5 times your body weight, if not 2 times. Once you can do that, you will be able to stand a good chance in increasing your vertical jump and therefore power behind the ball. Finally, when squatting, think about pushing yourself upwards as fast as possible after the lowering phase. This will work more of the fast twitch muscles, which will help then on the upwards exploding phase of the vertical jump. This will help in netball massively when shooting, as it helps you push power behind the ball. Increasing calf strength. This can also help you increase the squat and overall vertical jump. Your calf muscles form that final propulsion into the air, so they need to be trained. To increase their strength, do calf raises off a step. This will help increase the range of motion and develop maximum power when springing off the ground. The greater range of movement, the better. Here are the references.